Look, I'll give you a quick rundown, and most people do know me by now, but essentially I've been building for 28 years now. Started as an apprentice basically as a carpenter, and I moved into design. I got frustrated with an architect. We had a falling out and I went, you know what, surely I can design. And I went and bought Revit and went, shit, this is hard, right? So essentially I started to have a mess around with it and went, well, you know what, I came across a product called SketchUp, and it was free, which is kind of nice because, you know, I did learn how to draw on a drawing board, and I was proficient in drawing with the drawing board, but my main skills were building, and therefore the main reason for coming up with Plusspec was that I wanted something that was a bit more intuitive, so that, you know what, I'm not a software engineer, I'm not even very good at computers, but I know how to tell people what to do, and I employed people to develop some software for me. So that's sort of the honest truth behind it all. I'd love to say that I sat down and coded all this myself, but that'd be bullshit. So look, I mean, young Grant here, as I said, has been working for us for 4 years. Grant's going to draw something live for you. So we're going to start probably with a single story like you saw in ArchiCAD, and I'm going to get Grant to do that from scratch. And I might just explain a few things and run you through the things. And basically, Plusspec, we try to simplify it. SketchUp itself is very simple. Most people can use it. Our kids get taught it at school. And there is a free version, which means that if customers want to have a look at our jobs, they can quickly, you can send them a file and they can have a look at a 3D model. And you know what, they probably could edit it, but at the end of the day, you've got the original. There's not things involved in SketchUp like there is with families, which take a lot of time. There's a lot of intellectual property involved in families, and people don't like to share their models. I believe that in the future that the industry should collaborate more. There's a lot of cost associated with a builder actually doing a takeoff from a plan. There's a lot of cost associated with an engineer, as was mentioned earlier, that engineers will actually go and still use 2D drawings. And there's a lot of cost associated with clients not understanding what we're going to give them. I found it very frustrating when I started to design that I would draw a house and I thought it was beautiful, I understood it, and I gave it to the client and said, this is what I'm going to do for you, and they kind of go, oh yeah, I get what you mean. And when you get to the end of the job, because I'm building them as well, they said, well, I'm pretty disappointed because if I had known it was going to look like that, you know, and that's the killer of a job because you put your heart and soul into your designs and also into your builds. So I really needed to communicate with clients on a level where they would understand, and that was very important for me. I have my mouse here on my leg here, and you don't really have to mess around with a lot of stuff here. Everything's kind of built in, and it might be better maybe if you go to a model, Grant, because it's a bit hard on my leg with a cable. But Grant will show you a couple of models that he did, and then I'll get you to jump in and quickly do. This is one of the largest construction companies in Australia, and essentially they had a problem with this job. As you can see, it has drop edge beams in, and drop edge beams can be problematic for estimating. So even though we might just draw them in with lines and say, well, that's our drop edge beam, we wanted these drop edge beams to suit a site plan. So we imported a DWG. We basically went through that DWG and we pulled out all the layers and just took what we wanted. So Grant, if you can move to the next scene there for me. Okay, so this is the DWG that was imported, basically that we prepared it. So you stick in a DWG, just like every other CAD software available on the market. You put too much information in, it'll grind to a halt, it'll start to slow, and your workflow is really slow. So in this particular example, we did bring in the Surveyor's 3D DWG. Go to the next one, mate. Go to the next one. Floor plans, keep going. So these are floor plans that are coming straight out of a 3D model. You're not looking at a 2D plan here, you're actually looking at a 3D model. So if you can just turn that model a little bit for me, Grant. And if you want to zoom in on those bricks there for me, keep zooming right in. Okay, these are actual bricks. These are not representations of bricks. We took the images from manufacturers and we said, guys, I think the biggest breakdown that we're finding with design is that we can't show the clients how your products look on the wall, but I also want to estimate those products so that I can purchase them or we can specify them. Grant, if you click takeoff there, this is the full takeoff of this full house. Zoom out while you do that, mate. Okay, it took around about 7 seconds. Okay, and what it did, and it's a shame that maybe you could control and zoom in there a little bit, it gave us every single length of every single piece of timber, the amount of bricks required, and right up to it estimated up So for instance, you can only buy bricks in packs of 80, I'm not sure if you're aware. So if you had to buy 81 bricks, it'll spit out 160 bricks. And we did that from what the manufacturer specifies. If you're in Victoria, they don't sell the same bricks in Victoria as they sell in New South Wales. So you can go into them, maybe if you can show that, Grant. So you can go inside the model, and before you start, obviously most of us are from New South Wales, so if you went to, say, a setup tool, to set up this tool, we can go to settings and we go Australia, New South Wales, Queensland, and we click sync, and it will give you every single brick that's available in your country, and it will size it for you. We never go in and tell the wall how thick it is. You'll notice that when Grant starts to draw, he's not going to tell it how wide the studs are, he's not going to tell it how wide the bricks are, because we took the information from the manufacturer. Maybe, Grant, if you went to, say, a wall tool, you could maybe search a different colour brick or something. And we'll give you a live demo of this in a second. Let's go to the wall tool. Okay, so what we're doing, we're opening up a wall tool. And if you went to, say, a brick veneer and go to search materials, it's going to bring up every single brick that's available in New South Wales. It's also going to bring up every single piece of timber, roof tile, and in the next week you'll have every single Taubman's paint, 7,000 different Taubman's paint colours that are associated with it, and when you click take off, it'll tell you how much paint's on the wall at the same time. The most important thing for us in the room is that our drawings, so if you wrote in red brick and go search, it chose a red brick, and now I can draw out a red brick. Okay? And that red brick is the right thickness according to how you would buy it off the shelf. You can't draw 100mm walls in Australia anymore because they don't make 100mm timber. So anyone, especially new designers, and I was guilty of it myself, I was drawing 100mm walls. The problem is when you're a builder and you're setting out walls along a concrete slab and you draw them in at 100mm, you're out 50mm before you know it. Is it the left-hand side of the wall or is it the right-hand side of the wall? I don't know. So we took all of that out so that the designer now doesn't have to know as much about construction, and it's really good for new designers. Grant, do you want to start up a new file altogether? So this is going to be a blank file, and all this file has is basically a rough outline of a job. Now we can import a DWG, and I have to tell you the bad things as well. I'm not going to sit here and say this is the best piece of software in the world, because that's going to be 2 years before I get there. But at the moment, the software is pretty powerful, and we can do a lot very, very quickly. So if you want to maybe just start to import a plan, so instead of importing a DWG with a whole heap of issues where we had to purge layers, I knew that we didn't have much time. I thought we had 15 minutes, so we can draw a single-storey house with all the internal walls, the brickwork, the fascia, the gutter, the roof, and Grant's going to be doing this as I talk, and we can do a full bill of quantities on it and also prepare it for a set of 2D drawings. There are downsides to it as well. So Grant is now scaling just an image of a plan. One of the things that's crap about it is that the dimensioning in it is so slow, it's kind of painful, right? But what you lose on the swings, you gain on the roundabouts. Okay, so I've had a couple of complaints from several people, can you do something about the dimensioning? Well, I just flew over to America and met up with the team at SketchUp and said, guys, we've got to do something about this. And in the next 6 months, you'll see that automatically everything will dimension just like these guys showed over here. So dimensioning is slow, right? But you watch how quite fast drawing is. So Grant's drawing a single-storey home here. He's going to put the roof on, internal walls, doors. He's going to put a real brick on it, and he's going to estimate it. And I reckon he'll do it in about 9 minutes, 27 seconds. Won't you, Grant? So, you know, look, I mean, this is live, guys. There is no smoke and mirrors. There's not plans that we presented earlier, because I could show you some brilliant plans that I've built on the side of mountains. You know, $3 million homes. I used this to do it with. So what Grant's done is he just basically selected a wall type. You'll notice the top of the walls there. You keep on drawing. You'll notice the top of the walls. Maybe if you can zoom in actually and just show us what's inside there. Bradford, we need a bit of kickback over here, Rex. So we've got insulation in that wall. We have, maybe if you can click the scenes tool, Grant, just so you can see what he's done now. You think he's just drawn 8 walls or something. Just go to the structure maybe, Grant. So what did Grant draw? He drew every single stick of timber, and the size of that timber is on there. It can be changed. We can change every single wall in one go. Okay, just go continue what you're doing, mate. He's going to go and put his internal walls. When he puts a door in, the door is going to calculate the amount of hinges and so on, which you probably don't care about. But feasibility, when a customer comes to us and says, you know what, Andrew, I've got $300,000 to spend on this home, I usually go, oh, look, you better find another builder. But if you know that that's the case, you need to design to a budget, and it's not easy to do, and I do not recommend ever saying, I agree, I can do it to 300 grand, because if that's the case, you're up for a liability suit, so don't get involved in prices. But what happens is that eventually, once you guys have designed this job, it is going to go to somebody to build it. It's a shame if you guys spend all your time designing things that aren't going to be able to be built. It's ridiculous, and we've wasted our time, we've wasted the client's money, and basically I don't think it's a good thing for us to do. So I believe that if we're going to design something, it should be able to be estimated. It should be able to be used to be able to be built. We should be able to put trusses in very, very quickly, and we should be able to put in rafters and everything like that, but we shouldn't have to know as designers how to do it. I'm fortunate enough that I was a chippy and I used to bang in nails. So I use my experience and I put it into the software so you don't have to know. Grant has never banged in a nail. Last time I asked him to bang in a nail, he hit his nail. And but what Grant's going to give me here from a design perspective is something I can estimate from, and something that I can use to give to the client, or something I can use my experience as a builder to actually go through and edit that drawing. So he might do a whole heap of things that aren't right, but I now have the capacity to go through it. So he could share this model with me, and you can backsave it to 2008 if you want to. There is no restriction on backsaving. There's no restriction on how you go about using this. He's drawing it in Plusspec inside of SketchUp. Yet, if you just own SketchUp, you can get that model and you can reciprocate and you can talk to other people on that model and communicate with clients. There's also a mobile app. Everyone seems to have a mobile app these days. On your phone, you can send it to your phone and you can go through every single part of that job. So the scenes and everything Grant's going to draw here, I'll have available on my phone. So I know this is small, guys, and I'm 41 and my eyesight's going, but I drew this on the plane, and Grant will show you this model in a second. I stayed in America with a friend of mine who was a nice guy, and I said, oh look, I'll quickly draw up your house when we fly between Texas and California. By the time I got to California, I had every single rafter, window and everything in. I stuck it on a mobile app so he can look around his own house. Not only for the client to look at his own house, it's for the builder, because the structure that Grant's showing you here is actually going into the mobile app. And it's very powerful. The mobile app costs $12. You can dimension inside the mobile app. You can look at your sections inside the mobile app. And Grant's going and putting in some windows here, are you, mate? Yep. Okay. So he's working in a structural view because we just brought in a plan. So, but maybe if you went to all, Grant. Right, maybe you can draw in three different, put in a sliding window, a double hung window. So sliding window, make it 900 wide by 1500 high. 1500 high, yep. Sliding. Yep, okay, put that one in there. 900, yep. Right, and go to the next one and make the next window sliding again, but make it 1800 high and make it 1800 wide. Now go back and put low E glass in it. Everything that Grant put in there, it actually put in the lintel above it. You don't need to know it, we already figured it out. We knew what the span of the lintel was, how far it would actually span, and therefore when you put in a window it'll put in an angle if it's over a certain height. If it's under a certain height it'll put in a flat bar. It all comes out in the takeoff at the end of the day. We've taken what BIM software was supposed to be into another era, and I didn't believe it. I didn't even know what the word or the acronym BIM meant. And to be honest with you, I think it's a load of crap. Some of the things that they carry on about that you need, but really, what do we need? We need to know what it's going to cost, what it's going to look like, and how the client sees it. I don't care, you can give it 30 acronyms as far as I care. At the end of the day, we need something that we can produce a set of 2D documents from, which you'll see on the table over there, but we also need something we can build from. You notice when he cuts a window or a door, it's automatically putting a head in there. It's doing so much work, and we did it through an algorithm. I employed some very intelligent young people, and I actually now go by the mantra, I like to get people to work for me out of school because I can teach them how I want them to know. There's no preconceptions. They're not coming to me and say, but Joe Blow down the road told me to do it this way. I don't care. I just want you to do it my way. And these people are actually doing things that are how we actually build them. It might not be actually my way, it's how we build them. All right? So, Grant, I probably wouldn't go and put every window in there because we don't want to bore people here. Let's maybe just go and put some internal doors in and put a roof on it, maybe a slab with a drop edge beam of 86 mil. Sorry, just an edge beam. So, you know, everyone would probably know if you're building on a concrete slab, you have a flat slab and you have a step down of 86 or 172 according to suit the brickwork. Put that slab in for me. Okay, maybe you could just hide one of those walls so we can see what happened. Just zoom in on that for me. Okay, so we already have our edge beam in there. If we decided we wanted to drop edge beam, we can drop that down and we can actually stick the wall down 1200 millimeters very, very quickly, or whatever it is. You can go 10 kilometers if you want. It'd be very expensive, I don't recommend it. So he's going to recess the slab, so we can recess the slab as well. We can put penetrations through a slab. When we're putting in floors, we can actually put a penetration through a set of floor joists and change the direction of it, and it will all come out in our 2D detail. Just unhide that. Go and put a roof on it for me, mate. Now, Grant is very good at this. You're not going to pick it up and you're not going to get it this quick, right? But we found sometimes the people that are best to do it, maybe if you can zoom in and show the gutters and the eaves and everything that was done for us. We're skipping a few steps, so we already told her that it was 600 overhang. But if you want to go back and maybe, Grant, if you want to change it to a different overhang, make it a small overhang so you'll see that the drop off. Edit roof and change it to a tile roof. Choose a alabaster by concrete tile and, I don't know, 450 overhang, go submit from there. Okay, it changed it to a concrete tile. Zoom in on the ridge caps for me. It also put in every single individual ridge cap for us, and it's working to the spans that you actually use these tiles on site. So we gauge the tiles so you have the right amount of tiles. Can you just show me what happened to the eave there? Notice that we had a drop off set on that wall before, and now I have a recess there and I can see my insulation. That is to save the cost of construction. No one actually puts the bricks up through the eaves unless the customer specifically requests it. Maybe just undo that roof and go back to the original drop off. So now it's gone back to the 600 drop off. Just delete that roof and put a front porch balcony on there for me. We have a lot of power. We can't do everything, but we can do a lot, and we can do it automated. Okay, so we started from a file, okay. Maybe you could put a garage door in there. We can also put posts in. Posts are simple, I think they're almost boring. I don't know if I'll bother showing you that. A garage door, so a glider roll, panel lift, or a roller door, whatever it is. You can change the colours of every single one according to what you can get out of their catalogue. Maybe you could open that garage door and we'll have a look inside. You're going to need a door to get in the house, so maybe stick a door in the house. Now we're starting to get to the point where we can communicate with the client. Look guys, let's walk in through your house and we'll maybe change the colours of the walls and put some, I don't know, 820 door. Okay. We can now walk in through the house and we can actually start to change the colours of the walls and put wallpaper on, or every single colour in the Taubman's paint range. Just go back to all, mate, for me. Do you want to put some rafters in the roof for me? We're going to pitch the whole roof, a conventional style, 30 years old. You can choose the size of the rafters and all that, blah, 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 blah. If you click on the drop down, you'll see that there's every single size of timber you can purchase in Australia to build it out of. Right, go submit. So take a second, it's doing a lot of work. We can also do trusses as well. The ceiling's automatically in there. Go to structure, zoom in. Okay, It put in valley rafters, it put in a whole heap of things. There's a little bit of tidying up to do there, but for me to tidy that up would take me about 3 minutes because I understand the structure. But I don't know, Grant, if you want to, you can see there's a rafter missing there. Do you want to move it over? You see that the span of the rafter there was too low. We can move that over. Let's not get caught in it. Oh, you can do it if you want. Yep. Everything is its own little section. Righto. 600. Everything's modifiable, everything's changeable. Maybe you could do a bill of quantities just on what we're looking at. So basically anything that you see on the screen, we can do a bill of quantities for feasibility. You'll notice there's no prices in there now. You guys probably don't want to get involved in that. The best thing to do would be to hand it on to a builder and let them put the prices in. But let's pretend that Grant's a builder. Grant, can you go back and put in some prices for me, please? I know that 9035 is about $2.45 a metre, and I know that it costs about $1.20 a metre to fit. Go back to your prices. Go to your 9035. You notice that, I don't know if you can see that, but basically it's come up with everything that's associated with a wall or a roof. And now I can go and put in all of my prices, which is what would be very valuable to your builder. Because the builder, just to do a simple job like this, still has to go and figure out the quantities. Now, volume builders, I never actually designed this for volume builders. I designed it for me, being a boutique builder. I designed it for me so I could get a cost. Clients are coming to me with one of your sets of plans and saying, could you give me a price on that plan, Andrew? And I say, sure, that'll be 40 hours of my time. They come back and say, my brother-in-law's a builder, I'll get him to do it. And I've just gone, 40 hours of my time gone. So essentially, I designed it for me. Put in a price, mate, $2.45 and $1.20 to fit. Right. Save and update. Next time you never have to put the price in, or your builder will never have to put the price in again. Do a bill of quantities. Go to 9045. $2.45 and $1.20 to fit. We'll have a total price to install that frame at the bottom at $3,645. That is BIM, but I don't care much for the acronym. All right, elevations. Can you do some elevations for me, Grant? From that plan, we now need to obviously create a set of 2D drawings. Delete that stuff. Zoom in, put a front door in. I just zoom in, put a front door in there. It's not a very nice house. We took this off Google. So hopefully it's no one's house here. Okay, right now go to your elevations, put in black and white because everyone's used to seeing it that way. Right, and essentially I can now stick this into a product called Layout. Now Layout is built by SketchUp, and it is SketchUp Pro. As you would all be aware, there is a free version of SketchUp, and as far as I've come across in my time, most architectural firms and building designers use SketchUp in some form or another to bulk out, to get very, very quick mass modelling, and I'll get Grant to give you a quick example of that shortly. Yet, we needed to get this into Layout. Do you want to, I don't know, do you want to stick it into Layout? I'll do some shadow diagrams. Maybe replicate that house 5 times. All right, so we make it 20 metres, I'll make it, yeah, make it there, times 5. All these are now individual houses, we can all edit these. So maybe you can change the bricks on the second house to a different colour. And go to materials and choose a different colour brick. It also put in the termite barrier, by the way, and brick damp course, termite barrier. Okay, zoom in on that so we can see the brick. You want to change the size of the window? I don't like it. Change it to a sliding window and make it 600mm wider. Everything is, there's a word you might hear, buzzword, parametric, which means that one thing can be multiple. We've got a PowerPoint. If you go into PowerPoint, you can put in PowerPoints. A PowerPoint's got 172 different iterations inside one component. It will, if you go and said, I want to put in a PowerPoint with a light switch, a fan switch, a dimmer, it will go through and it will take that PowerPoint off and tell you you've got one dimmer, one light switch, and these are the item codes so you can order it. Simplifying it was what it was all about. Can you do some shadows on that? Okay, this is how quick it takes to do shadow diagrams, okay? That's the solstice. 9 AM June, that is 12 PM June. Go that one, 3 PM June, go to December. and that's live. So you can geolocate. One thing that we did mention before is you can import a 3D DWG. Forget about it when you're designing. Not necessary. Grant, can you show them how to do it? We're not online. We sort of turned up a little bit late, and I preferred a beer and a feed than I did to set up. But maybe if you can go to the job setup tool. We created a tool that allowed you, now inside of SketchUp you can already import a Google Earth map. Now that's kind of important, but the problem was the Google Earth map wasn't on axes, so you try and draw a house on it and everything starts to mess up. So we created, when you bring in the Google Earth map, you can have a flat plane to draw on, but you can also have a contour according to how the block is actual in natural life. I would not put it into council. Before you go to council, set your drop edge beams according to your surveyor's plan. But sometimes if you've got a client you think might be a time waster, they're not even willing to pay for a DWG, yet you need something to do next week, bring in a Google Earth map and essentially it'll be contoured. You can put your drop edge beams in according to that. Okay, when you put in the Google Earth map, it knows where it is. It knows the minutes and seconds from the equator, and you don't have to worry about solar north or magnetic north because it is as per the globe. Google Earth round, Plusspec took a round drawing and put it in, and therefore it automatically knows where it is in real life. You can then take these models and go file, upload to Google Earth. If you don't want to share the model with the client, share them a link with Google Earth and say, here's your house that I've drawn for you. It's a bit clunky, but it works. I usually share models with my clients. Okay.
I've just got a question, just
sure.
Not related to it, but just with Google Images, the aerial images on Google, does anyone know, are they aligned to true north?
Yes. They are. And I actually had a job in, and I never travel for work. I've got a rule that if the job's more than 10 minutes from my home, I'm not interested, it's too far. That's true, guys, by the way. You don't need, what do you need to drive to the other side of town for? I think it's ridiculous. You'd spend an hour in the car there and an hour in the car back. It's 2 hours out of your day that's gone. There's plenty of people that need work around us. You just need to show them that you can do something cool. Even like when I go up against architects, and we've all gone up against architects and lost jobs to architects, I'm winning them. I'm a builder. You know, like I'm just showing them, this is what you're going to get, guys. I'm not going to give you any more, any less, and I even base my contracts on the 3D model. Sorry, Grant, I lost track of what I was doing there. SketchUp, in my opinion, brilliant piece of software, and it's great for conceptualizing. Grant just put this model into layer, and I think you saw that there was 5 houses there or something. He started to dimension it up. So when I say terrible, it's actually not that bad, but considering how much work he's just done in that amount of time to put in that, and if you go to there, the biggest problem with the dimensioning is more that it's actually, the leader lines are a bit of a pain in the backside, so you've got to move them. Yeah, well, you probably should have deleted the picture from underneath it, right? It's the picture, it's referencing the picture, but look, I mean, to dimension up a set of plans that with 6 dimension strings would take how long, Grant? Never done it myself. But what you saved in the swings, you gained in the roundabouts, I think 10 times over. We tried to make it simple. So these young fellas here, I could teach them in 2 hours, and I think that they'd have enough to draw what Grant just drew then. But you know, like everything, if you play golf, you need to play it a bit to be able to get good at it. Yes?
Andrew, when Grant brought in the JPEG image,
yes,
and he rescaled it,
yes,
and he started putting the walls, is he actually snapping on the corners?
If we had brought in a DWG, yes, he would have been.
But not on the JPEG? Or?
A JPEG's just a piece of paper. I actually had a customer ring me and said, I brought him a JPEG, but I'm not getting any estimate out of it. I said, well, you've still got to draw the walls. He thinks he just brings in the JPEG and comes out with an estimate. I had a bloke ask me where the space bar was once. He thought we were talking about somewhere where we could drink alcohol. Yes? Yes. Grant, do you want to go back to the model? Put a drop edge beam in 600 long. Turn your shadows off so you can see, so everyone can see, because the screen's a bit crappy, guys. Okay, so split that wall of the window. So maybe the back 2 meters, roughly. That'll do. Yep. So we're going to split the wall there. There's two ways I could have done it. Okay, maybe if you just go to the slab and put it in a drop edge beam. It's good to ask questions on the spot. The young fella's got to work harder. I think you're asking for a world of hurt here, my friend. I'd hide the wall first, but anyway. Okay, hide the wall, put a recess in that wall. The apprentice does become the master. He is telling me things I don't know as well. Stick a 600mm recess in the drop edge beam. Yeah. No, the drop edge beam is here. This bit here. That's it. Yep. Right, there's our drop edge beams pretty quick. Now go back to the wall, unhide your wall. Now I'll go and put a drop edge beam in there. This is the eave drop off, and this is the drop off for the drop edge beam. So he's just put in 600mm, go submit. There we go. You can do drop edge beams all the way around the house. Go back to maybe the drawing that I did for the Project Home Company. They've asked me, they said, you're okay to share our model, but you're not allowed to mention our name. God knows why. No. Okay, this is all drop edge beams. They lost a lot of money on this house. They lost a lot of money on this house, right? Just hide those walls for me. Yeah. Okay, just hide those, yeah. Okay, you can see the drop edge beams in there. It quantifies the amount of concrete that's associated with the drop edge beam as well. You can also put internals in, but leave it to the engineer. I think it's their job. The best thing is that it actually works to the contours. Maybe if you go to all on that plan, you might see that the contours are actually in there. Okay, right. So actually zoom back out just so they can see how I did this. We imported the, they wouldn't give us a DWG plan to draw over. They said, here's a set of scanned, copied plans, and you have to draw the whole lot. We want to make sure that your estimate's close to our estimate. So that's what we got to start with. Go back to all. Okay, you can see that we now have projected our contour lines up to here, and we use these contour lines and we created a face. Can you go over to the, yeah. We used the contour lines and we created a face which told us exactly where these drop edge beams are going to run. Maybe if you go back to the site plan at the start, before that. That's not the drawing I'm thinking about. We also did the cut and fill. They were at about $16,000. So, oh, there you go. Yep. Okay, that's the cut and fill. The blue is what they allowed for. The grey is what we did. So, yeah. Any other questions, guys? That's it.